should I put leave meeting?
Nope, say it's 6 o'clock.
It's
Oh,
6
here-
o'clock.
Here comes Mr. Carmichael.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the North Santiam Sewer Authority Board Meeting and Sewer Project Update number 62. It's catching up with me. It's March 7th, 2022 at 6 p.m. We're holding the Zoom, the meeting by Zoom conference call due to the COVID-19. We're going to, I need to change the agenda. First off, we have to do roll call. And when your name is called, please give a detailed introduction of yourself and hopefully keep it 30 seconds and under. Janet.
Ken Woodward.
Hello, everybody. My name's Ken Woodward. I'm the chairperson for the North Santiam Sewer Authority. I've been a part of this project for 4.5 years, and it's an exciting project, and just wanted to let Kelly know. It's Kelli. Kelly know we're going to move forward, and we opened up a checking account today. Anyway, that's me. I'm a retired truck driver, and no, I'm not an engineer.
And Ken, you've also been working on this project even before the county started working on this project. So you've got a lot more history there.
Yeah, I started in 2010, 2011. So I'm an old fart.
Rather than comment, since this is being recorded, Tim Kirsch.
Hi, let's see, I am unmuted. Good. Okay, this is Tim Kirsch. I'm the vice chair of the Sewer Authority Board. I'm the mayor of Mill City. I've been working on this project since shortly after it was introduced. However, I was involved on previous sewer attempts in the city of Detroit when I worked with the North Santiam Canyon Economic Development Corporation Board of Directors. So been looking at putting in sewers up that direction for quite a while, but this time we're working on it in Mill City as well. So slightly younger than Mr. Woodward and still working, not retired.
Thanks, Tim.
Brian Gander.
Hi, I'm Brian Gander. I'm working with Gates City Council right now. I'm a sanitation commissioner in Gates. Probably in my, third month, hey, Ron? Is that about it? Maybe fourth? So I picked up for Dale Weiss, who had been on this committee for a long time. And I'm a retired school administrator and so excited to be here. I serve as the treasurer of the NSSA.
Jeff Smith.
Jeff Smith, I'm up here in Idana, been on the board about 2 years, I guess. This is actually going to be my last meeting. Tony Moronis is going to be taking my place. It's been a good 2 years. I'll miss everybody, but I have things I need to do. So that's about it.
We will miss you, sir.
Thank you, Jeff, for everything that you've done for the NSSA. Thank you.
Jeff Huey.
My name is Jeff Yohe. I'm a founding board member of the NSSA. I'm also the water commissioner for the city of Idana. I've been on council for the city of Idana for somewhat over 10 years and have been with the NSSA since its inception. And I'm glad to be here and glad everybody else is here with me.
Denny Nielsen.
Hi, Denny
Our new
Nielsen.
victim.
Yes, my victim is right. I've been asked by Mayor Trett to be involved in the NSSA, and sorry, I've got a horrible winter cold, so I'm not as sick as I sound. I am the newest counselor on the Detroit City Councilor. I've also been assigned responsibilities related to the commercial rebuild commissioner, and I'm a retired hospital administrator from Salem Hospital. I'll look forward to meeting you all in person since we're not going to have to wear masks in a few days. Maybe we can do this stuff without electronics.
Ron Carmichael.
Ron Carmichael, Mayor Gates, old, bald, and retired.
And then myself, my name is Janet Zienhall. I am the secretary of the group. I've been involved in this since, I don't know, 2016, 2017. My memory doesn't go back that far. Yeah. We want to go on introduction of the guests.
Yeah,
We have some
please,
new
let's
folks here.
do that.
Okay.
I'll introduce myself, Danielle Gonzalez. I work for Marion County, but tomorrow is my very last day. So this is my last meeting with you guys. If you hadn't heard already. So I've been working on the sewer project since 2015, at the very end of 2015, and with the help of Business Oregon and DEQ and Regional Solutions and all of the cities. We've worked really closely to kind of shepherd this along, and now we've got some traction. And so I just want to make sure. Oh, and OAWU, how did I forget that, Keith? Sorry about that. Shepherding this along so we can move forward. So I appreciate everybody's patience as we were starting and putting the plane together as we were going.
McRae.
McRae Carmichael, planner with the Mid-Willamette Valley Council of Governments. And I got involved a couple years ago with this project through Marion County and Danielle helping to manage engineering. And I think the COG will continue to support the next phase of engineering and development. And then I just want to be here too because it impacts the cities I serve. So thanks.
Keith.
Said you could push the space bar, but it didn't work. Keith Bedell, OAWU, and I've been with this project, I believe, a year and a half. Jeff Crowther, who is retiring, is
Again,
Yeah,
again, yeah. Pretty sure this is permanent, isn't it, Tim? But that's who I
Yeah.
am.
That's what Jeff keeps telling me, but time will be the real tell.
Mary.
Hello, I'm Mary Camerata with the Department of Environmental Quality, and I've been around on and off since 2015, and it's nice to see the momentum, and hopefully as it rolls and move on, we can keep it going.
Yes. Jody.
Thank you. Jody Christensen. I'm with the program called Regional Solutions. I serve Marion, Polk, and Yamhill County, and I've here to keep listening and learning about the progress.
Thank you. Arthur.
Thanks, Ken. This is Arthur Chapman with Business Oregon. We are the State Infrastructure Finance Authority, and I'm here to listen and learn. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Sarah.
Hi, I'm Sarah Alvin. I am an AmeriCorps member as part of the Resource Assistance for Rural Environments, or RARE program. And I started back in September, but I've been working with Danielle and Ken on supporting the development of the NSSA.
Thank you. And Kelly, guess what?
Well, hello.
Hello.
I'm Kelly Weiss. I'm the Economic Development Coordinator at Marion County. So I'm the poor, sad fool who has to try to fill Danielle's shoes. So that's my ultimate goal, is to learn and listen today and try to replicate as much as possible how awesome she's been over the last, 6 years. I've been at Marion County for about 6 months. And before that, I worked for the city of Florence as city reporter / economic development coordinator. So that's my background. I was there for 13 years and know a lot about little towns. So I'm here to try to take that and use it for the best of the canyon. So
Welcome aboard.
thanks.
Have we missed anybody? Need to have Sarah give her presentation now. If anybody doesn't object, we need to get her on board so she can go back to her classes. Sarah, it's all yours.
Great. Yeah, thank you for your flexibility. So I'll just give a few brief updates on the projects that I've been working on. So the first one would be the website. So I've been continuing just keeping it updated and continuing to make it accessible and having everything easily findable. And I think the major update this time is we worked through a new draft of the FAQs. So if you pull up that page, it's kind of reorganized and we made sure all the information was updated. If you have any edits or suggestions or you're hearing any other questions from your constituents, just let us know and we can definitely continue to update that. I'm also working on making a video to put on the website and be a kind of public facing resource for people to understand how the sewer authority has been created over the years. And so I've been interviewing multiple different stakeholders, done about 10 interviews now with people from all 4 communities. So I'm wrapping up those interviews and then I'll be working on kind of editing that into this easily accessible video that we can share and put on the website as well. So that's moving along. I've been researching possible grant opportunities for the sewer authority to help continue filling the gaps of funding. So I've just been collecting information about grant opportunities mostly at the state and federal level. So that's just in kind of a master Excel document where I've been collecting that information for future use. The next project is I've been researching some kind of best practices of organizations formed under Oregon Revised Statute 190. So I've been doing some research into what other ORS 190 organizations do and what they're required to do, and kind of compiling that into a document. And I think I will be sharing that with some board members in the future as a reference and resource. And then finally, well, I guess I'll mention some other projects that I will be working on in the future, but have not quite started yet, are working on a communications plan for the sewer authority. So detailing who and how people will be notified and worked with in the future through the sewer authority. And then I'll also be helping with officer elections in June. And then finally, the last piece, which I brought up before, is the new logo that I've been helping to design. And I think the board is planning on voting on that today. They narrowed it down to 2 options during the last meeting, which has been emailed to everyone, I believe. So I think I will probably jump out before you do that, because I'm assuming you'll do that later on in the meeting. But if you have any questions or suggestions, let me know. So does anyone have any questions about my projects?
What about the photos from the board members?
Right. I think I have 3 at this point. So if you have not sent me a photo, I would like all board members to submit a photo themselves to put on the website. So if you have not done that yet, let me know and send over a picture. Otherwise, I'll just pick a random landscape from your community as a filler for now.
Or we'll pick out different photos for each one of them.
Yeah, or I'll pick something sillier that maybe you don't want.
I had a quick question, sir.
Yeah, Rob.
I still need to send over my photo. I'll get that. I just got moved this last weekend, so I'm just now getting set back up again. Also, what program are you using for the website, out of curiosity?
It's through Wix.
Wix.
WIX. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. That's, thank you.
Any other questions?
Sarah, do you have the two logos to pop up?
Yes. Do you want me to just share my screen?
If you're willing to, yeah.
Do you have time?
Yeah. Yeah. Can you see them?
Yes.
Yeah. So these are the two options. As I've mentioned before, the idea was to represent the North Santiam River and then the 4 communities that are part of the sewer authority, which is what the 4 trees are representing. And the idea of number 2 was to have the kind of representation of the canyon in the background there.
So do we want to vote? Or do we want to wait till later on? Sarah, do you have time that we?
I mean, yeah. It's not too long.
Okay. Everybody, have you been able to review the logos? Have you made a decision? And are we ready to vote? So we can send Sarah off to her education.
Question.
Go ahead.
So the outline of the canyon and the number 2 there is, for me, I'm just going to blast out and it doesn't matter. But it kind of doesn't represent anything. Whereas like the state of Oregon, an outline of the state of Oregon would be more representative, it would seem to me. That is the only, I like number 2 better, but I don't like the outline around it. But I like number 1 because it doesn't have the outline.
Well, it's just supposed to represent the canyon walls in a way. It's, in a way, you can't get too.
No, I understand that.
You can't get too detailed or really going to cost us a lot. So that's just supposed to be the river coming out of a canyon in a way.
Right.
But hey, it's up for a vote, 1 or 2.
Denny votes 2. I
All right,
agree
hold
with
it. We're gonna have Janet do a roll call, and when your name's called, go ahead and vote.
Okay, Ken,
Number 2, no pun intended.
hard. Tim,
Number 1.
Brian,
2.
Jeff Smith,
1.
Jeff Huey,
2.
Denny,
2.
Ron,
1.
okay, this is really embarrassing. Because I say 1, so it's split in half, 4-4.
Fine.
We're not done yet.
So does that mean I get the final say?
Sure, I say go, she's been with.
No, I
in the
was gonna
group.
say, these have been my 2 favorites from the very beginning, so I would be of no help.
Isn't Brian, did Brian vote yet?
Yes.
Oh,
Yep.
okay. Sorry.
Yeah, I've got everybody, it's 4-4.
Okay.
Well, we have a
Heads or tails?
I don't have any
Danielle
calling.
decide.
Do what?
Let Danielle decide.
Danielle, this can be your
I agree.
parting gift. Your parting gift to us, Danielle.
There you go.
I say you make the decision.
Oh,
I'm either
gosh.
gonna hate you or love
Everybody-
you, either one.
Does everybody agree?
If I were to put in my input, I would say number 2 for the only reason of it looks better and more unique on a website.
Then I will change my vote to number 2.
Okay, number 2.
Oh my gosh. You guys, I'm just gonna put Danielle's name down there. You guys can't change your vote. Danielle did it.
Okay, that's just fine.
Thank you, Danielle. It's number 2.
No pun intended.
Yeah, no, every pun intended now.
Well, number 1 stands for something too, you know.
Whatever flows downhill.
Can we make that the little caption underneath of it? No pun intended.
Yeah. Oh,
Great job, Sarah. Thank you.
Sarah, awesome. Thank you. Thank you.
So Sarah's going to go right in and going to start making up all of the letterhead and all of that good stuff. So thank you very much for all of your work on that.
Yeah, of course.
Yes,
Thank you
thank
all
you,
for your time.
All righty. Wow. Okay, everybody's going to have to get photos out, the ones that haven't done it, please.
And before you go much further, if you can do the declaration conflict of interest statement. So
Yeah.
we are where we're supposed to be, please.
Okay, any declarations of conflict of interest? Not hearing any announcements? I had to change the agenda. That's my announcement. I did make a deposit today of $100 into the checking account. It's open. Anybody else with any announcements? Danielle?
Only the announcement that I'm leaving tomorrow. So they're having a little event for me in the afternoon, 3 o'clock.
Okay,
So everybody's welcome to come if you would like.
thank you. Public comment and questions, please limit public comments to 3 minutes each. Hearing none. I did not notice that the summary notes weren't in there. That's my fault. We'll have to put that down for next meeting topics. Already done. Action, treasury report, review pay bills if necessary. Brian.
Well, I did visit with Lacey at Mill City. So our current treasury held at Mill City has $786 in it. And I have tried to work with the spreadsheet that Joel sent me, but it's protected. So I'll have to recreate the spreadsheet to start a formal report document for the month of April.
There is a reserve of $2,200.
The notices that I received from Lacey at Mill City said that they actually took their 10%. So the final balance is now $786 and some change.
Okay, good. All right. Old business update, OAW conference in Sun River. Danielle.
I'm going to ask Janet and Tim to also talk about that one if they would.
Ladies
Well,
first.
It was downright cool.
I would start off in saying that Danielle did a wonderful job presenting. And I would say that we had numerous questions at the end from people that were interested in not just the project, but in how we approached the project, in how we secured our funding for the project and things like that, and what our steps were for the ongoing funding of the project. So like I say, there was a lot of interest from folks that were in the audience at the conference. That's my report.
I second Danielle did a wonderful job. She covered a lot of the questions before they ever came up. And I think I got one line out of it. So Tim and Danielle did it all. So yay.
Well, it was good you were there.
And
Okay,
Keith, did you get any feedback or anything like that? Putting you on the spot.
No, it went well. And it went clear through the allotted time and there were questions. People stayed after. Yeah, it went really well, I believe. I wasn't there the whole time. So
So I think that OAWU did ask if I would be able to speak again next year. I told them I can't commit to that. But just so you know that they will want someone to speak on behalf of the North Santiam Sewer Authority. Maybe not necessarily next year, but maybe in the coming years as progress happens. It's really, really good, I think, to, and I've always, anytime OAWU asked me to do anything, I always say yes first. And then I said, oh yeah, and then what am I presenting on? And I think that's really, really important because a lot of these are really small cities and it's important for them to all know that it's a possibility to take on big things. You just have to do the work up front and it's hard work, but it's doable. And I think that's kind of the takeaway that we tried to put out there at the very end. And Sun River is not a bad place.
no,
Well, I would like to say that the OAWU fleeced me for $100 in raffle tickets for support of their scholarship program. But other than that, it was a wonderful conference.
who held your arm, Tim?
You know who.
and he's retiring.
Actually, Danielle, I might send somebody asking questions to you and you can point them in the direction. Terrebonne is actually right now working on a sewer system.
Oh,
So since you're so knowledgeable.
Well, I'm hoping also that's what our video that Sarah has been putting together would help to really like just hone in on what the story is from the community's perspective. So yeah, absolutely. But just know I'm only here for until tomorrow. So, and then I fall off the face of the earth.
give him our website, Keith. Give him our website.
Yeah, but you know, you don't all go away, Danielle.
Just ask Jeff Crothers.
They already know where I'm going to and they've already plotted a course to my office. So that's kind of how it's going to be. So.
Anything else about OAWU? All right. Well, we decided on the logo. The video is being worked on. Website's being updated. Funding list and best practices. Grants.
Ken, it would be helpful if everybody took a look at the website and just look through the frequently asked questions, look through the history, and then provide feedback back through the website. So that can be updated as well. So that would be really helpful.
Yeah, use the northsantiamsewer@gmail.com.
Yeah, you can do it directly from the website. If you just put under the contact us, it goes directly to that email.
Okay, moving on. H, financial policies, development and maturity of organization. We did open a checking account. There is $100 in it. And Brian and Janet worked on these policies this weekend. I hope everybody got them. I sent them out late, but I got them out. So why don't we turn it over to Brian and Janet and they can discuss what they came up with.
Thanks, Ken. So what we sat down and planned was, what is it that we need to achieve in our policies and how can we look for local support to not have to create these out of whole cloth. So I reached out to McCrae and McCrae sent me the document that the Mid-Valley Mid-Willamette Valley COG is working on right now. And so I got their draft form. And, you know, when Janet and I looked at it, it was like, wow, this is more than what we were really looking at. But my comment to her was, well, if we can flex it a little bit, and we did make some tweaks and some adjustments to it, we can get something in front of the board and approved. So we meet the requirements of having a bank account, having some management policies, and then we can reassess the specificity of the areas that we'd like to continue to work on and develop, flesh out a little bit more. So Janet had sent a document to me that had looked at nonprofits and what their financial policies should look like. And so I wove those into what the COG was working on with theirs. And so it's a blending of the two documents. And the table of contents basically shows you the structures that the documents have. And our admission, and Janet, you can definitely chime in here when you, is that it's not a perfect document, but we put specifically on the front of it, it is a living document. So we will continue to hone it and help it meet our needs. But it seemed to have all of the policy levels: revenue, expenditures, capital improvement, operating budget, long range fiscal policy, debt risk management, reserve and contingency funding protocols, some investments, fixed assets, and how to identify and manage and catalog those. And then in the very bottom, I added a section on conflict of interest. I'm sure that NSSA has a conflict of interest, but I couldn't find it on the website. So what I did is I went to Santiam school districts, board ethics, and conflict of interest policy, and tweaked those a little bit. Those are based on Oregon State statute from the Ethics Commission. And typically they're written by the Oregon School Boards Association. So they're very comprehensive, gets into some minutia, even if, for example, Danielle's trip is funded by NSSA to go to the water conference, what she can request in reimbursements and that kind of stuff. So it covers a lot of bases in that area. And we can look at that as a model for future considerations as we get larger and start dealing with more situations that are outside our local community.
Okay. As I know I sent it out late, so probably no one has really had time to review it.
I totally read it because I'm a nerd like that.
I've read it, but you know, time to really get in and make notes and discuss it.
So I'm going to ask Brian and Janet, are you guys okay if I just kind of drop some information, then I'll scan you my document and with my scribble notes on it?
Perfect.
Okay. So one of the pieces that I saw in here is there's information about a consensus vote. Consensus vote would indicate that everybody agrees, and instead of a majority vote. So that's something just to put out there that the sewer authority would want to look at.
Yeah, they had a by resolution in theirs, and so I picked a different term.
Yeah, no problem. And then on the procurement side, it talks a little bit about this. This is more on the bigger picture, that the sewer authority does not have procurement rules. They don't have to follow the official procurement rules for the state. And ORS 190 specifically is exempt. But there are times when you want to follow a specific procurement rule. So if you're getting like federal or state funding, you want to make sure you're following whatever those requirements are. So I just wanted to lay that out there. While there isn't necessarily a by decision rule for the ORS 190, there is a requirement that once a contract is done, that you submit it to Oregon Buys, which is the online procurement system, within 30 days, just to let people know that it's available. So that was one piece. Again, I have all these scribbled notes everywhere, so I'll just forward those to you as well.
Great.
For the annual audit, the ORS 190 may not necessarily need to report to the Secretary of State's office, but an audit may be suggested. The problem is all the materials that I've been able to get together, say consultant attorney specifically on that. But the ORS 190 is specifically not called out under the annual audit amounts, but if it is over 150, then all municipal organizations or municipal entities have to do that. So that is something that probably additional clarity from the attorney would be helpful on as well. I wasn't sure about this language. The sewer authority pursue an aggressive policy for collecting delinquent accounts. I appreciate that language, but I also know that that may not necessarily be where everybody wants to be. So I'm just going to lay that out there. Under the revenue policy, it says charges for providing services will be sufficient to finance all operating capital outlays and debt service expenses. That may be a problem if you say, if we put it in that way, if it's sufficient to finance all operating capital outlay, that would almost indicate that you will never go after bonds or revenue bonds or even grants. And so that you just want to be careful on that language so it doesn't disclude your organization from being able to go after those those grants. And a consensus vote. That talks about the sewer authorities following the employee compensation practices consistent with the North Santiam Sewer Authority's adopted personnel handbook. Obviously, there's no handbook. And so that we may need to put additional language in there if direct hire, otherwise it's based on contractual entities employee handbook. So that's just a little bit of a nuance there. I didn't see anything about bonding of staff. So that might be something that there is no language there. It might be something to add in there. There was something about the board, the approval of use of board designated cash reserve fund. I believe you're talking about the actual fund, like in the budget system, I'm assuming, not necessarily cash in hand, like a petty cash fund. So that might need to be specified as well. Then the executive director will obtain competitive bids. Same thing with the procurement things, unless that's specifically written out. It says that, you know, it's the best based on cost, service, and elements. So I appreciate that. That's not just cost based, so that's good. For a lot of these things, you may want to put just wording right in front about once sewer assets are under control of the North Santiam Sewer Authority, and then comma, whatever it is down the road. And then honestly, this is one of the last ones. There wasn't very many. This was fantastic. The NSSA will consider the use of debt financing under certain circumstances. And it says when the purchase's useful life will exceed the terms of the financing. That may be very difficult. I'm going to look to Tim on that one, where sometimes the capital outlay does exceed what the usable life is of the asset. So that language might need to be modified a bit. Same thing with debt management policy, the useful life, that was in a second area. And then the NSSA will maintain a contingency of no less than 3 months. That the only statement I would make is upon initial, it's going to be difficult to maintain those 3 months worth of total operating expenses for the general fund. So that might be some modification of language that needs to happen. And then all of the rest for the one question, the one piece you had about the ethics things, we just go by what the state ethics rules are as a public official. And so that's where that came from. And that was literally every bit of notes. And it was wonderful. It was so good. Such a great first draft.
Janet, did you have any comment?
No, you did all of that. So yeah, great job.
And I'll just scan over my notes and send it to the group. So you guys
Okay.
can discuss it next time.
And we all will be going through ethics training here this year sometime.
Mr. Chair? I'd
Yes.
like to make a comment or two if I could. And number one, yes, Danielle, you are such a nerd. Brian and Janet, the work that you guys did on that is wonderful work. I did peruse through it. I didn't have time today to make a bunch of notes and stuff such as Danielle had. Wordsmithing documents is not my expertise by any means, but I did, a lot of this is the kind of document we will need when we get into the operation of the sewer authority, of actual operations and stuff like that. And like Dr. Gander said, this is a living document. I look forward to seeing it end up a final draft, something of this nature, with obviously with some strong consideration to Danielle's input as well. So thank you very much, Brian and Janet, for what you did there.
Yes.
Our pleasure.
Just to let everybody know, US Bank does know everything about us, the ins and outs. They've been on our website. They also know that we do not have, a financial policy yet. They've been helping out big time to get this going. In less than a week, well, just over a week. So I think reworking this, making some adjustments to it, it's way beyond me. I mean, I can look at it, I can make notes, but not like Mrs. Nerd up there, as I agree with Tim. She just goes after it. She can do this real quick. Like, what was drafted up is you also received something simple. I think where we're at is, if you receive the other document, the other attachment that was there, something real simple about 2 signatures, Brian and Tim, if Brian still wants to be one of the signers, if and when we ever get checks. But Brian's in Gates and Tim is in Mill City, and I'm nowhere close. So if there was something that needed to be done, those 2 would be signers. I'm on there myself, but I'm nowhere close to there. So did everybody else get the second document? Real short one?
Yes.
Okay. Anybody didn't get it?
Ken, Ron, I'm not sure if he didn't receive those documents or what.
Ron?
I have not checked my email to see if I have received those documents. I do believe they are in the email. I have not had the opportunity to look through them yet or anything, so.
We can, I don't think there's a immediate need to.
I did not get those, Ken, so I'm not quite sure.
You didn't?
No.
Well, guess what? Then we're not going to do anything with it until the next meeting. I'll send them out again. And
so in the policy, you would like that adjusted to include the vice chair as a signer?
There's a short document here that I'll send back out, and then everybody can review it again, have time to review yours and Janet, which you came through with, and then we can review the short one for the time being, because I don't see us myself personally do not see us completing what you've have worked on by next meeting. I myself personally. I don't know if we even need that until we're really up and running, but we need to work on it. And that's what we'll do. But I'll send out the short draft or short little document so everybody has it, so everybody can review it. And I know moving is no fun, trying to keep track of everything. So they'll give Ron some time to review everything also.
I appreciate that. I did have a couple of questions and a comment, actually.
Go ahead.
Well, the one comment is that I've worked under consensus-based decision-making for quite a number of years, and it's not really 100%. Consensus isn't 100%. It's just the majority, more than a majority, less than 100%. And so it works out very, very well and keeps everybody on track. And one voice doesn't necessarily make the decision for everybody. The other thing is I wanted to ask, and you kind of hit on it, Danielle, a little bit, but I'm kind of unclear, and maybe this isn't the time, maybe it is, I don't know. With, I understand that we have financing that the legislation has approved as to be financed, but you were saying something, do we turn in, as things get done, do we turn that in to be reimbursed or to be funded through the state, or how does that work? If you don't mind me asking.
Sure. No, honestly, I think that's good. So Marion County is actually receiving all of that money from the legislature. So that the $50 million that has been discussed, 40 million of it for the Mill City Gates project, 10 million for interim measures in Detroit and Idana. Those funds went directly to Marion County as the as the fiduciary for those funds, which also means that they are working on that project all the way through. Gates Mill City, there is a hole of about $5 million. There's been some discussion of how we fill that hole from the Met County side. But for all intents and purposes, the Mill City Gates project is currently 89% funded. And so that we have every belief that that is going to move forward as long as we can get permits and the engineering and all that kind of stuff. The deadline for having contracts for the ARPA dollars, that's where it's coming from the legislature. The date for that is December of 2024, that they must all be under contract, and the completed project must be done no later than December 2026. Does that answer your questions, Ron?
Kind of, maybe, sort of.
We're gonna have a work session here after the meeting, so.
I will stay on as long as you guys need me to answer questions. Arthur, did you have something as well?
Yeah, I think maybe Ron, what you're getting at is mechanically how the cash moves from one place to another.
Yeah, I guess that's kind of
right. So Business Oregon has the actual cash. We have we're working out a contract with Marion County, and then probably the way it'll work, and Kelly, we're going to be talking more about this, but probably the way it'll work is a reimbursement basis between us and the county, and the same between North Santiam Sewer Authority and the county. Now the county's actually got cash; they can float invoices from contractors. You guys probably don't, so I think we'll need to work on a process between you and Marion County to keep things pretty tight there, so that we can get checks turned around quickly. And then I assume Marion County will collect invoices until they have a large enough amount to be worth submitting for reimbursement. They'll send them to us, and then we'll send a check to Marion County. So that's how I envision it working. And Kelly, like I said, there's probably a couple of different ways we can structure that. So don't, we might, if that sounds terrible, then we can work on another method, but that's what I'm picturing.
Yeah, well, because if it's a reimbursement, I mean, like you just said, North Santiam Sewer Authority don't have the money to spend. Okay, we got to pay $5 million to a contract. Well, tell the contractor to ask, who do we ask? Marion County
And-
Business or
Yeah.
where the heck they get their money? They don't want to work if they don't get their money. And so that's kind of, that's kind of the,
I think we have to do a lot of submitting to Marion County. Marion County gets with Business Oregon, and Business Oregon approves it, and then they write the check.
And I suspect Marion County has cash on hand to float invoices like that for a few days while they get reimbursement from us, is my guess. But if not, then we'll come up with another method. And I'll tell you that the good thing is we have some time between now and construction to test this method and make sure it's working. We'll have smaller invoices from Keller or the COG or whoever. That we can see how it's working on those, see how quickly the money's getting turned around, and have a system that's pretty well ironed out before we get into the really big invoices for construction.
yeah. These are just questions that I get asked too. And so it's kind of like,
it's worth asking. Yeah.
These are good questions. No, good
These are
questions.
perfect. These are perfect questions. And maybe I need to be very specific. The sewer authority is not paying for any of this so far. It is going directly to Marion County, and the Marion County is doing all of the contracting, all of that kind of stuff in consultation. So I think that's really important that they're moving it forward as a public works function, because we unfortunately don't have the time to learn all of these pieces along the way.
right.
But the NSSA will be involved, possibly reviewing contracts. They'll be involved in every decision making.
Anything that deals with the services to the customers, yes.
Yes.
I think Brian has his hand up.
Where'd Brian go? There you are.
So are we developing an annual budget document?
We will need to. So upon initial implementation of the ORS 190, you have a window of opportunity before you have to do that. And so I have to look back and see what that date is, because we haven't exceeded that yet.
So the revenue streams are partly Marion County and then any grants that we can shake out of the trees.
Exactly. And right now what's on tap is potentially the $150,000 for the staffing. It's potentially because it hasn't been signed as the contract. But that is what we're looking at. That's what the bank knows may be coming. And so that's what they collateralized for the bank account.
So when are we expected to have a budget document ready for?
I'll have to go back and actually get you that information, because again, there is a window of opportunity where you don't have to have a budget yet. It's only if you get above 150,000 where you have to have that audit too.
So what budget cycle do you find us? Are we on the state's budget cycle, or what's the?
No, the state's budget cycle is a biennium, which is the 2 years. The sewer authority is we put it as 1 year when we first started that out. And I'll have to just go back and look at the dates on what.
So is it July 1 to June 30th? It's July 1 to June 30th.
Yes.
Like a public government.
Yep.
Thank you.
Any other questions? All right, future staffing of the NSSA, that's part of the money we're supposed to be receiving for that. We need to review that, come up with some qualifications. What do our board members think that it's going to be needed or required for a staff member? So keep all that in mind. We can discuss that now, or people can make notes and bring it to we can put that on for next meeting topics.
In the last meeting, Ken, there was discussion that there was a desire to look to see if Mill City would be willing to be the subcontractor of staffing. And then if that didn't work out, then potentially the COG. So that was the initial discussion that we had last month.
Right. So then we start asking Tim and Janet what they think for City Hall, because we know we want to operate out of City Hall, Mill City, City Hall. And they have the, you're on mute, Tim. They have the program for all the percentage now for sewer bills, but do they have the space?
Obviously, it's something that has to go before the full council, but
Right.
also obviously you have my full support. We do have a small broom closet sized office space that I think that we could allow the sewer authority to use. Well, I've talked it over with Stacy Cook, our city recorder, and she believes that that would be fine. We allowed the sheriff's department to use it for a time. We allowed the wildfire recovery people to use it for a time. So it is now currently available. It's not being used. Resources of the city, obviously, we do have, our finance clerk that can help us out to whatever degree we need to there, if the whole council has buy-in to it. And I believe that they will, because I believe that the city council as a whole sees the value in what we're doing here. So obviously it is city funds that pays for our finance clerk. So we will be seeking reimbursement for her hours or whatever for that. But for the most part, I think the city wants to cooperate as much as they can, to whatever we need to do. So I can't speak for the full council, but it's got my support.
Well, the board's gonna have to make a decision. Also, if it's probably gonna start out part-time.
Right, well,
My personal opinion.
I'm just talking some of the initial bookkeeping or whatever. We don't have the capacity to do the project managing or
Right.
whatever. Right. Right. So
Okay.
yeah, I firmly believe that the board is going to have hire, at least in the beginning, a part-time manager, and then once it gets down to more crunch time, we're going to need more of a full-time director, project manager. I see the position as starting out. We need someone with strong project management skills and things like that. Then obviously once we get the sewers up and running, we're going to need more program managing skills. So it might be the first part of it is a different type of management need than the second. But the first part is going to take, we're figuring 5 years for build out. So strong project manager skills is something I would be in favor of looking for.
Anybody else?
And you have Brian, he's raised his hand.
Sorry, Brian, I wasn't looking, I'm making notes.
So on the most recent conversation with Lacey, email back and forth, she states that after the city's 10% is retained as per the signed contract. So are you still considering a 10% fee on, so that fee was $2,500 the last time they took it out. So what would that contract look like between the sewer authority and the city as far as fiscal services?
Personally, I think that we should do it on a as time kind of basis. Obviously, the city would bill for the time used. Other than that, I don't know what kind of an hourly rate we'd have to come up with or whatever. But when it gets to be big dollars, percentage, And, you know, the city's not looking to get rich on this. We're just looking to be fair and equitable and do what's right for the whole canyon.
Well, sounds like we have some discussion for the,
So did we have a job description? That I
No.
requested one last time and didn't really see one in the packet.
No,
this time.
Brian, that was me. It's just
No.
run out of time.
no,
I might add also, Ken, though,
Yeah.
down the road, when it comes time for implementing billing and stuff like that, we do have the software, obviously, because we do currently bill out water and sewer bills for the city. That might be something that the city could contract with the sewer authority to take care of utility billing and stuff, but that's a whole nother conversation because that's a long ways down the road.
yeah, we talked about that long ago, but
Yeah.
no, we haven't made up any qualifications, requirements. We haven't done that. Everybody can make their own notes and we can discuss it the next meeting. If we choose to. I think I'll put that on for next meeting topics. We got to approve summary notes, financial policy, development, staffing requirements.
Would Marion County have a categorization in their jobs that they put out as far as like a secretary 1, secretary 2, project manager 1, project manager 2? Do they have those types of job descriptions within their human resources department?
Can I interrupt here real quick? We also have COG, Willamette Valley Council of Governments, that we can consider.
Yeah, I think that, I mean, I can pull some of those. The only difficulty is, Brian, I don't think that we actually have those positions. Like, I'll give an example. Technically, my position is a management analyst. So it doesn't exactly fit what I do. And so,
I understand that part. It's kind of like these financial policies, trying to create something out of whole cloth. We're volunteers. It's not what we think about every day. If we have 3 or 4 examples of that we can cut and paste from and say, yeah, I like that bullet. I like that bullet. Let's put that in there. That salary range is way too high and that kind of stuff. It's a little easier to work that way.
Mr. Chairman,
Ron,
I can.
I think somebody else was saying something there. Was that Janet?
was that Janet? Or
I was gonna say, I can pull some information together on project manager and administration and so forth and send it out and let people go through what the job duties are. I can pull that up fairly easily. I think I have project management in my own file because that's one of my things that I do. So I think I have a lot of that already.
That'd be great.
So my question is, I'm kind of confused here now. Are we looking for somebody to take over kind of what Danielle has been doing, or something completely different? Because I thought I seen, who was it, the other gal who was here? Kelly.
Kelly.
Isn't she taking over your position, Danielle?
So Kelly, I'm gonna have to let you talk to that one.
Yeah, I'm kind of confused as, okay, what are we looking for?
We're also thinking for the future, we're not waiting. So Kelly.
Yeah, I mean, Marion County's here to support you as you develop, but eventually you are going to be more of a standalone entity and won't be able to have the support of Marion County staff going forward. So what you're looking for is somebody who can take your development to the next level and can be there through you from where you are now through the construction process into the administration of the actual infrastructure, billing, all the rest.
Yeah, we'll be making decisions, and then whoever we hire is going to be let's just say, make it easy doing the running around and the management part of it. The budget, you know, I kind of agree with Tim. I mean, if somebody already has it in place, we can use it, but you know, we also have to consider COG and look at it, talk about it, review it, put things together. And we're all volunteers. We don't get paid. We don't get reimbursed for any of our anything. So we're trying to make it as easy as we can on each other, but also be efficient. So we want to think about this. We want to review it. It's coming up. So
basically what I'm hearing is what we'll be looking at as a general manager for the North Santiam Sewer Authority.
Pretty much.
Okay.
And
That makes sense to me.
Yeah, and I did send Ken and Brian and Janet. I just sent you a sample job description that I had pulled at the end of 2021.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so any more on future staffing? Okay, next meeting topics. I have approval of summary notes. That'll be for 2-7 and 3-7. We'll review the financial policy development again. Everybody can, I'll send out, make sure everybody's got it one more time, and staffing requirements. Anything else?
I would just throw out there that you probably need to discuss what needs to happen with future meetings. I have April on right now, as of now, as a Zoom meeting. That platform is hosted by Marion County. That can continue on. It makes it very simple to put, even if you're in person, just to record the meeting and then upload it to YouTube. It's actually very simple to do that. But you might want to decide if you guys are going to start meeting back in person. So I just wanted to lay that out there and make sure that that's being discussed.
Who's going to be handling Zoom? It's going to be Marion County?
Marion County has a platform for it.
Okay.
Jen Johnson, you guys have met her before. She's going to be working through some of those as well. So if you need help, that's where it gets done. Or if there's an alternative, then maybe it's time to start thinking about that.
We do have an alternative in the fact that I do have an account that I originally set up for this. That the recording the whole 9 yards, and Danielle can teach me how to upload to YouTube and everything.
She has till tomorrow.
I'm not too sure.
Oh, I know where her office is at. It's across from where mine was.
She can't run.
How's Sarah on Zoom meetings and stuff like that? Is that something she'll be able to help us out with for the next couple of months that she's with us?
Yes, I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm sure she could do that as well.
So, anything else? Not hearing of anything. It's 7:09. We're going to close the meeting.
Real quick, Ken, should we discuss, but I mean, we just touched on it, whether our next meeting is going to be Zoom or in person or a hybrid?
We should have a Zoom. I know we want to start meeting in person, but we want to include everybody.
Right. And that's why I threw out the hybrid as well.
I think I can work on that and
Okay.
notify anybody of any changes, but
yeah,
I think the hybrid's a good idea.
although we won't have Danielle to bring snacks with the next one. So.
Don't tell people. They didn't know I used to bring snacks.
Oh, no.
I've been starving you guys for years.
oh man, I miss them.
I think hybrid's a good idea, but I got a question. Danielle, you can probably answer it better than anybody, I imagine, because you've been at the commissioner's office when they are doing the projections from there and stuff. Do they have a camera set up in the room that they're using? And is that how they do that?
Yeah, they do have a camera set up in the room, but essentially you could have someone have their computer or laptop with them and just turn on the YouTube and record the meeting room. So that is an option for you as well. Or someone could attach a specified camera as well. The omnidirectional ones that are like large, like that actually can turn based on who's talking, probably is outside of the financial capacity of all of us. But we have just a larger camera that you can set on a table, and it attaches then to either a PC or a laptop.
Okay, somebody explain hybrid.
That's where,
Combination,
What?
combination of the two.
Let's
So
make it confusing.
in-person meeting with Zoom capability so others can join in without actually having to drive to the meeting location.
Okay, I agree.
so the room would actually be like just one of us being there, just like with the Board of Commissioners when they're doing it and stuff. And then the individual people along with it being able to join in.
And that is a requirement, a new requirement from the state as of January 1st, that you have to provide alternative methods for people to be involved in the meetings. And so whether it be telephone or video, so that is, it is a requirement now under the state.
Well, we're gonna have to do some research on this. Make sure we gotta get it set up.
Yeah. Mr. Chair,
Yes, go ahead, Denny.
you might want to speak with Kelly Galbraith. The meetings for Detroit City Council are, I think, a hybrid, which we're now discussing. 4 of us typically meet at the Kaiser City Hall, along with Kelly. And then the other people and anyone else in the community that wants to be involved can join those meetings. And it seems to work out pretty well. So you might chat with her about how she sets that up.
Okay. I'll be chatting with everybody. Whole bunch.
But don't chat with me.
I'm actually gonna try and set it up this month with the City of Gates and see how it works too. Because I do have some cameras and stuff like that. We're gonna give it a try. I'll let you know how it works out.
Okay, what do you have there? What do you have there in Mill City, Tim?
We just meet in person.
Okay,
So that's what we've always done. We've never really varied from that. But we have discussed, obviously, adding that capability to the city council there, to the city council meetings.
but we have to offer different ways for people to participate, so we're gonna see, we'll look into it. Anything else? All right, now it's 7:14. We're going to close this meeting, and we do have a work session set up for right after, so it's 3. You taking off, Mary?
Are you gonna stay longer? I thought we were done.
Oh yeah, we're done with this meeting here at 7:14:37. The date, the month is the 3rd month, the 7th day of 2022. Meeting number 62 is adjourned. Now we're going into work session.
So Ken, do you need me to stay on that? Do you need him?
Well, we're just, no, we're just going to be asking questions to Danielle.
Okay, all right, well, all right. Well,
Thank
thanks.
you.
And we'll see you next
Thanks,
month.
Mary.
You got it.
Or call me if you need something, okay?
We will. Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
And
This is Jeff Yohe, and I just want to say, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I wanted to say thank you, Danielle, for all that you've done for us. My phone's dying, so I'll be here.
Thank you, Jeff.
thank you, Jeff.
And Keith, you were waving. Are you leaving or? You're on mute. You're muted, Keith.
Okay,
There.
unless you have anything you think that'd be useful for me staying.
No, we're just gonna pick on Danielle.
That's what I figured, you know. Have a nice meeting.
Thank you. You take care. I just want to say thank you, Danielle, for everything. Your professional history, your professional life has been very interesting to me. You've shared some of it. You've educated me a whole bunch on how to maneuver. I'm not even close to knowing what you know, but I thank you for everything you've done and everything you shared. And we're here because of you. And this is your project. And I know you're not going far. But thank you for everything you've done. Thank you.
And of course, I will push back and say, no, it's your project. I've just been able to be here and I'm really excited for where it's going. So, yeah, what Ken didn't tell you is how many times I sent him things about how to, I sent him readings about being a leader. I sent him a whole bunch of things and he didn't get mad at me. He just said, okay, I see what you're saying. Okay.
I had to bite my tongue several times.
So real quickly at the going away function for you tomorrow, will there be hors d'oeuvres?
I have been told light refreshments will be served.
Very nice.
What I heard. So I actually didn't get an invitation. I had to steal. So.
Well, it's easier to talk about you if you're not going to be there.
Yeah, well, I find that to be true. What I would just throw out there is, this is a work in progress. Obviously, we weren't able to get everything done that we had kind of hoped to. I know I like to do really tough things, and looking at the financial policies, it almost gave me a sigh of relief on seeing. I'm like, oh my gosh, okay, good. They're going to be good. They're going to be great. They're going to be fine. So I appreciate all of the work that you guys put into that, Brian and Janet, on that. It's making it easier for me to go. So thank you.
Is there any questions?
I'm
for
here
Danielle?
to answer any questions you guys have. I'll do my very best to answer them.
Come on, Danny. I know you had a lot of questions.
Actually, I've got a full page of questions.
Okay, let's
And
go.
Danielle, I'm sorry we're losing you because you obviously have the expertise and the drive to get these things done. And you mentioned liking challenging opportunities. And I think the one before us now with Detroit and Idana is extremely challenging. And I say that with a note of being exposed to some ad hoc testimony over the last couple of weeks about the fact that Detroit and Idana may take as many years as 7 or 10 to complete. And my concern is that even with a temporary solution that might cost $10 million, how in the world does a city survive? I'm not sure it's possible. I'm afraid that Detroit, I don't know about Idana, I don't know much about that community, but I see Detroit withering on the vine if it's going to take more than 7 years. And actually, I'm not sure 7 years is short enough. Yeah. I think it needs to be more 3 to 5 years. And so, and I'm going to ramble here for a bit, and then you can pick my questions out of it. But what concerns me is funding. Are we in the Detroit Idana area going to expect that we have the same financial resources as Mill City and Gates were provided from the state of Oregon. And I've heard terms used like it's ARPA money. I don't know what that is. Or should we depend more on federal agencies to try and get our project started? You know, I know there have been some minor studies started up in the Idana area related to some sort of a drain field and or a pond solution as part of the septic system. This is like a helicopter. There are so many moving parts. And as I said in the beginning, my fear is that if we don't get off the dime and garner the funding now, that there won't be much left in the eastern part of the canyon.
So Denny, let me try to answer some of those questions. This is what I heard. You're concerned about the timeline. You're concerned about the funding. Is there going to be the same financial resources? You're not really familiar with what the ARPA is, and if we're going after different funding sources and all of that kind of stuff. Okay.
And add to that, who are the decision makers about funding? Is it our Oregon legislative crew, or is it our congressional representative senators that we should be chatting with about our needs?
Okay. These are great questions.
Can I interrupt real quick? And
Yep.
he also had a question and he hasn't said anything. He wants to know how much Merkley knows about this project.
They should know a lot. Okay, but let me go back. Okay, so I've written down all of these pieces. Okay. So the timeline with Detroit and Idana is strictly based on the fact that there's not enough property. Simple as that. There's just not enough property for us to utilize a drain field. The only properties that we were able to look for that were a possibility were Forest Service properties. Those Forest Service properties, we have to go through something called the Town Sites Act to be able to access those. It is not stopping the process. It just adds an extra couple of pieces in there, which is why it's making the timeline longer. We're working right now and getting the contract agreement with COG and between the county and COG to get the water testing done. And that is the water testing in both Detroit, it's in Idana, and then the ones in Mill City at the same time. Those are underway and those are moving forward. The reason that timeline again is just a little bit longer is because of the fact that we have to do water testing. Now the water testing, and please know I'm not an engineer, so you probably know this better than me, but the water testing that's required is we are impacted by what is called the 3-basin rule. It
Right.
says that no discharge can go back into the river, which also means no discharge can go anywhere close to the river because it can be considered discharge back into the river. So with that means that the additional timeframes that we need to build up that destination of where the water would flow to. One of those locations is that McCoy Road, up McCoy Road onto the Forest Service, which I believe Ken and you were talking about potentially going up there at some point. It's currently, if I'm not mistaken, it's still blocked off. Is that right, Ken, with a gate?
I think so.
Okay, so the next time then the Keller Associates is up there, we'll ask them to get you up there as well, Denny. So
Great.
any help that you can get in helping us get there, great. The key is very what the problem is here is that because of the 3-basin rule, and then because this is a protected water source, we have significant permitting challenges to all of these. And so if we don't get it right now, it'll actually delay it even further. And so that's why we're trying to put all of the pieces in place now. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. Let me interrupt just for a second. So if land is the issue, because we're looking at a particular type of drain field or pond or something, are there other treatment systems that don't require a lot of property? And are those systems something that the people who permit these things, are they aware of it? Could they direct us to a different alternative in terms of getting the waste dealt with?
Yeah. So the two different pathways are what they call step systems or for the sewer system. Essentially, they'll both need a drain field, right? And so we're trying to, especially in the Detroit and Idana project, it's actually going to have to be the highest quality of water as it is, just for us to get permits to get it, to put it in the ground where we're putting it in. And that's about a half a mile away. If we can make it all work out, it's a half a mile away from the river, down through some volcanic ash. So it's like creating kind of like a water slide specifically down to the river. So we're trying to get that half a mile in there. Either way, the drain field is the issue. The state is actually what's saying that it's going to be 10 years. And it's because of DEQ saying that piece, because they are in charge of getting the permitting, right? They're the ones that approve the permitting. We have been walking alongside of the DEQ engineers at every step of the way. And I'm looking at kind of McCrae to, like, we've been really working through DEQ to try to make sure we can smooth this over as much as possible. Under the Town Sites Act, so the Forest Service, I've been in discussion, the commissioners have been in discussion, specifically with the Forest Service about utilizing the Town Sites Act. The example we have where this has been successful is actually the Deschutes National Forest, so just on the other side of the Cascades. And they were able to accomplish the drain field on Forest Service property for the city of Sisters. And so that's kind of our example that we're trying to lean on there. So that was the first question. Is that clear? Nothing is holding off. It's just they have more steps. And so it's taking a little bit longer on the timeline.
Thank you. I understand.
Yep. Okay. So now for funding. So ARPA is the American Rescue and Recovery Plan. That was for COVID specific funding. There is funding available for infrastructure development and broadband development. Those were the two main big pieces. And then there's some other specific requirements. That money was authorized at the federal government to go to the state. And so I think you heard Arthur Chappett, he's with Business Oregon. That is the state agency that is accepting the funds from the federal government and then distributing it into the state. The legislative money actually came from the ARPA dollars that the state held in their hands, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So what's happening is that legislative amount was $40 million, which is $50 million, $40 million of that for Gates and Mill City. And that is to take it to construction. So that's the entire process. And then 10 million for interim measures for the Detroit and Idana. Mostly it's going to be in Detroit, and some of the engineering that is required for this next phase of the development. We are about $5 million short on the Mill City Gates, just because when it went into the legislature, we didn't have the full amount from the master plan. So that was just our biggest guesstimation, but we're at 89% funding. There was a call this morning I had with USDA, with Holly Halligan, to discuss how we make up that $5 million. The county feels secure that we'll be able to get that additional funding to deliver that full project. And when they say deliver the full project, Marion County Public Works is actually the tag people for that. So Brian Nicholas is our Public Works Director, and they would take it, and they're hiring a project management team. So nothing is getting delayed because we don't have enough staff to get it. So we are in contracts by 2024 to comply with the ARPA dollars. So 2024 for contracts for Mill City Gates, and then 2026 full construction. For the next phase being Detroit and Idana, that is going to have probably different funding because of the fact that it won't be complete and ready by that 2026 timeline. Otherwise, we would have been chasing that really closely. We are chasing every bit that we can put in front of ARPA right now to get us to that final destination amount, which right now the estimate, and this is without a PER, a preliminary engineering report, is about $61 million for Detroit and Idana. And that includes, purchasing property and all of those expected things. The conversation about the federal monies that are requested. So I've been working myself, and also our Marion County has a federal advocate, which we employ CFM advocates, and they are in DC. They actively, and they have for the last 6 years since I've been working with them, actively trying to advocate for monies to come into the Canyon area specifically. The federal agency, so USDA is typically the largest funder. The conversation I had again with Holly this morning was that Detroit and Idana's, any of these projects would fall under some of their most favorable terms, but generally that there is a 75-25% match, a 25% loan piece and a 75% grant. And so with that, we kind of have to now go to the federal side and say, we want a congressional direct appropriations. And that's what the discussion is right now. That discussion is happening in our board's office with our CFM advocates, as well as with Senator Merkley's office. So Betsy Emery is the contact at Merkley's office that they've been working with, as well as they're one of their people out of DC, which I don't remember their name off the top of my head. And then Schrader's office has been very, very involved from the beginning, as well as Wyden's office, and their staff member is Fritz Graham, and we've been talking with him as well. So all of those are moving at the same time. It feels like nothing's happening on the ground because you're not seeing dirt fly.
Well, actually, I think a lot has been done, and obviously you have a lot of balls in the air right now. I'm curious though, what do you think the prospects are for getting this funding within a reasonable period of time? Does it require that we have all of our studies done, the engineering done for the system, and on and on and on? Or can we get the funds and accumulate those funds based on our estimated needs?
Sure. The conversation with USDA was a preliminary engineering report had to happen, as well as the environmental permitting. And so that will be the requirement for the federal agencies. Now for direct appropriations, no, there is no official requirement. But by the time you go to a contract, all of those pieces have to have been done. So that was our discussion actually this morning.
Great. I would just, excuse me, I'm looking at my notes.
That's okay. These are great questions. And I'm
So
glad
you've-
I'm able to
you've
talk through.
Talked about the studies, the permits, the agency approvals, the consultants that we need. What will our sales package include? And when I say sales package, I'm talking about advocating through our elected representatives to help solve our needs. And I keep going back to this temporary permanent solution. There's nothing more permanent than a temporary solution. Nothing.
Which is why, yeah, DEQ does not want, they're having a heartburn about any temporary solution.
Yeah, nothing will happen after that. I guarantee you.
That's why DEQ is actually very hesitant to approve anything on a temporary solution. The problem is they won't ever say no until you send them a permit, and then they'll give you like 17,000 reasons on why they can't approve it. So yes, there is concern that a temporary solution may not necessarily be the right fit, but the county is doing everything possible, at least get a temporary solution up there. But I don't know how that's going to go, because that's definitely an engineering approach. And that is also being handled with Brian Nicholas, our Public Works Director.
So Danielle, do you feel like we have the proper resources at play right now to be doing everything we need in order to facilitate approvals and project movement prior to 10 years out?
No. So I think what you probably need is a grant writer. I think you potentially need more staff. I think you need to start with the grant writer to get the money to do the operational piece. to get more staff involved. And really what you essentially want, if I were just to now take off my Marion County hat, so I'm not part of Marion County at this moment, is to actually have someone in the room every time Marion County is talking about the project. I mean, that would be essentially the best possible scenario, but you have to know where those are, and you have to have someone that's available all the time during the business day. I mean, that's the tough part.
Well, I'm retired. I got nothing to do but mess with you.
Which I'm so glad. I have to tell you.
You know, I've lived from Salem through the canyon for my entire life. And we lost a place up there like most others. So I'm pretty passionate about this, and I don't mean to cast aspersions on anybody. I think you guys have done a marvelous, marvelous job. I just want to make sure that we don't let up, because the minute we let up, that will be sensed, and it just takes longer to recover and redevelop the kinetic energy to keep this thing moving.
Yeah, it'll never be fast enough for me. I'll just tell you that. I wanted it done last year.
Yeah, well, I'm sure.
They let up, was that in 2008 or 6? And they lost $18 million, and USDA had to put it back in.
Yeah.
Their funds, and they weren't happy about that. So we're not going to let up.
And can you remember, like, USDA wouldn't even want to talk to me for the first couple of years that we were on the project, because they're like, no, we already were burned with you guys. So no, we're not even looking at it. So,
and he came out and said that.
No, in no uncertain terms.
Yeah, and he was not happy. Matter of fact, he retired, or he's gone now, but
works for another federal agency.
Yeah.
Pass the garbage. That's
well, no, we just have to keep it, find out when the schedules are and be there. And I agree with you, Denny. We can't let Detroit and Idana sleep. We got to go.
Well, I'm just thrilled for Mill City that, I mean, they've got this thing not only in their sights. I mean, it's almost tangible. And
well,
I think
they also
wonderful.
have some concerns too. And Tim, do you want to talk about that real quick?
Well, yes, we do have some concerns, and DEQ just came down with a little bit of a step backwards for us, requiring us to acquire 35 acres to put in drain field, which is going to be difficult to do, but we've got a few ideas, and we're researching those right now.
And that's for an interim solution. That's for a temporary solution.
It's an interim solution, but that interim solution will also be used for the full solution as well. So we need to have it up front, but it'll be something that we use for the complete project as well. But yeah, so we need to do something for capacity expansion immediately, because we are at the capacity right now because of peak flows during wet periods, things like that, I, whatever. But we need something to be moving forward. We have multiple housing, I want to say, projects waiting in the wings, just waiting on our sewer development really to move forward. We're talking, this is well before the 5-year period when we're expected to rebuild our whole mechanical plant and stuff like that. So we need to have this yesterday. We're committed to seeing that Detroit and Idana receive the same thing. Once Mill Cities is built, or in the pipeline, so to speak, to get built, I will not let up on the need for Detroit and Idana. I think it's just as important for them as it is for us. However, we already did have an advantage as to the fact that we have an existing facility.
Yeah, indeed. Indeed.
And what I will say is that it also, once you start actually getting revenue in, that actually makes it a little bit easier to grow. Right now, you guys are at literally starting from the blocks, right? And so getting it off the ground, once it starts moving, all of these, the financial policies, all of these kind of things just kind of start coming together. It's really been a struggle, with the fires, with the with COVID, with the fires, with the time it took to kind of develop, I mean, it took us 40+ meetings just to get to an agreement, you know? So that's definitely been complicated.
Yeah. Well, if you, on your way out or at some point in the future, if there's a number of steps that we need to be specifically looking at, that as volunteers, we can help nudge and motivate those we elect to help us. I think we're all willing to do that. And it's never never easy working with some of these agencies. It's not like Marion County. I've worked with Marion County off and on for the last 40 years, and I have always had a tremendous relationship. But it ain't that way everywhere.
Yeah.
And so we just need to do our best to try and develop relationships, because I think that's the only thing that's going to solve the problem, is to let them know how earnest we are and how absolutely important it is for these communities.
Yeah, I would also add in there, it's not a bad thing. I've been doing speaking all over the state, and it seems maybe silly, but I'll tell you something. When you mention the North Santiam Canyon, everybody knows it now. Yeah, they didn't necessarily know about the North Santiam Canyon communities and the concerns 5 years ago, right? And so I try to take what I could offer, the best, situation that I could offer is, by speaking all over the state. I would highly encourage you guys to say yes to everything, to put yourselves out there. The Oregon Infrastructure Summit, it has all of the people involved. The Oregon Business Plan, we spoke there. We spoke in front of water advocates. We spoke in front of so many people. So I would definitely highly suggest continuing on that path. And that will then take, of course, get the legislatures. They're all motivated to help. They are very motivated to help. We just have to keep those talking points in front of them.
Perfect.
Just to throw out also, early on, we made promises to the citizens of the canyon where the sewer rate was going to be. So it's more important now that we seek full financing of this project, because borrowing money, we lost so many residences in the initial thing. We won't, we might not have money to service debt. We need to use the resources or the money we bring in to pay for maintenance, pay for our personnel and things like that going forward. I want to make sure that we don't end up with a debt load that makes us have to give rates that are going to be too high for low to moderate income folks. And we have a lot of those in the canyon.
That's
Indeed.
actually really good to point out, because all the federal agencies will require you to have rates at 1.4% of median household income. And so keeping that income level where not just the highest income people respond to the American Community Survey is really important, especially right now, because that 1.4% is literally where it lays. That's what the federal agencies are going to require for funding of grants.
1.4% of what?
Yeah, median household income.
Okay.
I know that in past, the city of Mill City, when we do to take out loans or look for grants and stuff like that, we're required to charge a certain rate, obviously. So we don't necessarily set our own rate completely, but so we have to follow those guidelines so that we can service future debt as well as what we have immediate too. So they want us to be able to save a little bit of money and put it away for future needs. At the same time, we're paying off the loans.
Okay, what else can I help answer?
My list is clean.
Okay, that was whoo.
Well, I can think of other things, Danielle, but the fact is, right now, we need to be worried about the fundamentals in terms of moving this forward. I love big pictures, but the fact is, if you don't eat this like an elephant, you're probably not going to get anywhere.
Yeah, which I've been eating a lot of elephant on this one.
I'll bet you have.
I mean, I will say, when we first started, we didn't have any experience, and I'm looking around, we've had three main people, Ken, Tim, and Jeff Yohe, from the very, very beginning, and then shortly after Janet. And so we've had some really good string of people that have stuck on and helped, through all of these pieces. And this group that's here right now is the very best we can get. Like, I feel so much more confident knowing the amount of expertise that we have on this group. So it's going to be the best group that we could possibly have. And that means everybody throwing in your expertise would be helpful.
Really quickly too, I'd like to throw out there the support from Marion County, from OAWU and others, it has been critical. The input we get from them and the guidance, I want to say, is we wouldn't be able to do it all on our own.
And so, Denny, just so you know, Jody that was on the call earlier, she's from the governor's office. Arthur Chaput, he's with Business Oregon, so he's making sure that the funding is coming through. He attends these meetings. I didn't even have to ask, he just attends. Mary Camarada with DEQ, they attend just because they care enough and they want this to happen. And then OAWU, same thing. They have sent someone almost every single month for years. And they're also willing to not just support us now, but support us in the future. And they were very, very instrumental early on in getting us into the right rooms to talk to the right people. So Jeff was out introducing me places that I probably had no business being, but he certainly did and got me to the right places. So.
Great.
Yep.
So it's going to take all of us.
Danielle, are you the one that's been doing the grant writing, or who's been doing the grant writing so far?
So it's been a mix. So we've been utilizing our federal advocates. I've been supporting that. We've used so we had a previous person that was our government relations person, Barb. She has since retired over the summer, but her and I worked very, very closely on working on the grant for Mill City, for the grants on broadband for Detroit and Idana, as well as this project. So it's kind of the same people, but we just kind of mix it up a little bit and throw out a different grant application.
Well, that brings up another issue. You mentioned that the next thing we probably needed was a grant writer.
Yeah.
So where do we fund the position of a grant writer? And I assume it's for all four communities in the canyon, not just Detroit and Idana.
Right. This would be specific for the North Santiam Sewer Authority, would be my suggestion. And the grant writer, you're going to, the funding that Marion County is supporting, that $150,000, could potentially get you a part-time grant writer, here and there. I'm looking at Janet because she'll probably also know people too. You really just kind of throw it out there as a request for a grant writer, someone that has experience in being successful in a grant. If it's a federal grant writer, you want to make sure it's somebody that's worked on federal grants. The state ones are not as painful, but the federal ones are painful. And so you want to get someone that specifies that they've worked through that. So that was the hope for the $150,000, is to help get you guys to a point where you're applying for money to help staff support, which that would then be potentially someone helping with grant writing, which that would then hopefully that grant writer can go after operational monies for the future.
Does it make sense to do that by contract or by employee?
Oh, definitely by contract.
That's what I figured.
Yeah, definitely by contract. You couldn't hire somebody with federal grant experience right now. I just will tell you that up front.
Okay.
Yeah. McRae, did you want to say something? No.
I was thinking about
She's like, not it.
this whole conversation too, thinking the COG has been very supportive of our issues too, and they have some great insight as well as capabilities.
And don't hesitate to, so Mill City is not a member of the COG here, but the Sewer Authority, they've been supporting the Sewer Authority since before it was even an idea. Very honestly. And so a lot of kudos go out for them as well. So you have resources, they're here in the Hollywood squares here, but then you also have them outside.
Well, thank you. I kind of feel like I've kept everybody over just to have my questions answered, and I appreciate the opportunity very much. And I'm really proud to be part of the organization. You guys have done wonderful work.
I appreciate your wanting to and willingness to come up to speed as quickly as possible as to what we've been doing, and really look forward to your expertise in the field of administration too.
Yeah.
I hope I'm worthy.
Yeah.
Me too.
Don't we all? Okay, so I'm
We all got our work cut out for us.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, don't feel bad, because I like the idea of hearing Danielle speak about this one more time, because maybe it'll hammer it in. So
You learn a little bit more every single time she talks. There's something that you didn't quite get the last time.
Yeah, I think that's the benefits that we had, over when we did the OAWU over the last Friday. I had Eli, which he's doing broadband for us in the county under an AmeriCorps Rare program, as well as, Sarah Alabin was able to go. And I think it was helpful for them, and we were discussing it on the way back, just helpful for them to hear the full story, because you hear tidbits here and there, but you just don't ever get that full string. So, so thanks for being patient with me and me dropping what we were talking about from topic wise at 8 o'clock in the morning.
Well, I think it's a shame, Danielle, because you've been so involved with being able to be at the state level and the county level, to be involved with all those different people and stuff. And I think it's going to be really difficult for us from this point, with you leaving, to be in those areas and stuff, and know who to get in touch with and stuff. And I think that's where, was it Denny? Is that it? I think I kind of got that feeling from him as well. And so
that's actually been my specialty. I'm not as great on the financial side. I'm not as great at, but moving the political needle is kind of what I've been able to do. But you have resources again around this group. You guys have contacts. Don't underestimate your contacts. Don't underestimate showing up in people's faces to speak to it, and just stay super consistent on what the needs are. And don't give them like the big need, like, oh, it's 61 million, I need that right now. What I need to say is, listen, we have a gap right here. This is what you can fill. Here's what the parameters are, and I need it by this date. Tell me where to go.
That's a great point. But how do we know what the gaps are?
So the good thing is that the gaps are actually listed in the master plan. And when there is another gap, you're going to have hopefully monthly updates from the project. And I'm going to look to Kelly to keep them up and aware of if there are gaps on the Mill City Gates side. But that's what I know right now. Right now, it's the Mill City Gates. It's $5 million.
Great.
Do we have reports coming in from Keller and stuff with what's going on from their side?
You don't have anything from Keller right now because they're not currently under contract, but once they are under contract, then those will pop back up.
When is that planned to happen?
The draft went to our contracts person today.
Okay.
That one actually went last week. So it's floating around for nods, head nods, and signatures and all that kind of stuff. So just if you can hang tight a little bit.
So that's that's what this position that we're talking about here is, that person to see those things through and make sure that everything's following through, that stuff is getting done. Is that what you're
Yes, but there's
understand.
2 contracts. So let me make sure I'm being very specific for you. There are 2 contracts. One is about $1.5 million, which is the Keller tasks for the water testing and all of the things that are moving on that. That is being handled by the county. Kelly and I were looking at making some adjustments to it today. And then there's 150,000, which is an agreement between Marion County and the Sewer Authority. And the 150,000 is what would come to you guys for staffing.
Okay, but what I'm saying is all the way through this, I mean, just not these little contracts here, but we're talking contracts with doing sticking the shovels in the ground to freaking running the pipes to hooking up and all that, this other stuff. We've got a lot of contracts and a lot of steps to go through before we ever get to a completed system.
So that's Brian Nichols.
And so having that, what we're saying, so what I'm hearing being said is we have to have somebody that can follow through with all those things and make sure that those contracts are getting fulfilled, that those things are getting sent to the county, that the county is coming through, that's taking care of all those things.
Yeah, the county,
Plus being in the legislative meetings and all that other pounding the table and stuff, saying we need it, we need it, we need it.
yeah, I think, so let me make sure I have this. The county is, dealing with all of the contracts, the large contracts. So far, the only small contract you guys are having to deal with is the 150,000. The 1.5 million is between county and COG, and then the COG is entering into contracts with Keller Associates. So that's one contract, but you don't have, the Sewer Authority doesn't have any pieces in that. That is just for them to move forward on it's the pathway to the construction, right? So for gates in particular, yours is the county is going to hire what they call, it's going to be like a master project manager. And that's going to be specifically communicating with the Sewer Authority as well as the county and making sure those monies are federally accounted for, which is a big problem you don't have to take care of. Because that was part of the reason why we set it up that way. So all of those pieces you guys won't have to necessarily deal with, but there is going to be specific steps where service to the customers is a question, right? And how that is served and how that financially comes together. That's when we're asking the county to consult with the Sewer Authority to make sure that we're moving in the same pathway. And so I've actually written out those particular questions. And Ken doesn't know it, but he's getting a giant stack.
Yo, I know it. I know it. And could you give Ron the person, I think it's Brian Nichols.
Yeah, Brian Nicholas. Yeah, he's our public works director.
He'll be handling all the contracts. He'll be handling the big job.
Yeah, he's there. So our public works department is handling the big one because again, it's $50 million. All of that has to be paid out and then reimbursed. So. Okay, so I've tried to weave this together. At some point in like 2026, it'll all start really looking like a braid. At this point, it's still not looking like a braid.
So what I'm hearing is Marion County Public Works will be doing the shovels in the ground and Keller will be telling them where to put those shovels. Is that it?
I mean, yes, if you're wanting to say the short, yes, that sounds good. Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Yep. Okay.
All right, anything else?
Okay.
Again, thank you, Danielle. And I
You
know,
are very welcome.
do I need to bring a moving van or a trailer for all the?
No, I've tried to minimize how much pain it's going to be. So
I know how high her desk is, and it's not that.
You will be impressed, sir, if you come see my desk.
I'll be there in the morning.
It looks like I've moved out, so.
I'll be there in the morning.
No. Okay.
Excuse me a minute.
Yeah.
Janet, could you send me your contact information back to the Santiam Sewer Authority Comprehensive Financial Policies? I went through them pretty carefully today, and Danielle picked up most of the issues, but I found some cosmetic things you'd probably be interested in modifying, and I'll just share that with you offline.
Cool. I'll send you my information and Brian's information.
Great.
And I also have a big booklet for you, Denny. It's the draft, the master plan draft.
Actually, isn't that on the website?
It is.
Probably,
Yeah,
but you can have a
I've looked-
copy. It was supposed to go to Shelley Engel, but
Okay,
she didn't get it, so you're gonna get it.
okay, that's fine.
So one other thing, Ken, is that you may want to continue to meet with Sarah Alabin in person. I would
Yes.
suggest you bring in maybe a couple of other people that could help guide her for the rest of the term.
Mhm.
So Sarah Alabin is with AmeriCorps Rare. We are not officially her supervisor. So this was my way of sneakily getting 2 AmeriCorps Rare members is by utilizing the Rare that's actually under the COG. And so she's been helping with a lot of those pieces. I meet with her and myself and Ken, and we had talked about adding Brian. We've been meeting every 2 weeks. We haven't recently just because of me leaving, but I would highly suggest continuing to meet with her. She needs guidance on what you guys need, but she is fantastic. She puts together, she tells you what's on the agenda that you guys are going to discuss. If you say, can you try to do this? If she has any hesitation, you have to just read it in her because she doesn't have enough experience yet to say, oh, I have a hesitation. She'll just be like, well, okay. So just guide her what you need. Again, she's setting up all of the communication plans. She's setting up your things, silly things like letterheads, the logos, all of that stuff. She's been updating the website. I would just really suggest you continue on that pathway as well. Utilize her until the end of July.
We meet every Friday morning on 5555 Court Street. Danielle's ex is called the Ponderosa Room. That's a
The
conference room.
Brighton Bush conference room.
Is it Brighton Bush or Ponderosa?
Nope, Brighton Bush.
Wow.
All of our county conference
in the
rooms
wrong
are named
direction.
about communities in Marion County.
So we meet every Friday about 8:30 in the morning, and we meet for about an hour and a half, or 8:15.
Yeah, you can meet earlier. You can meet probably not too early, but the reason it was 8:15 is because I could never get here on time. I had to drop kids off at school. So I promise I'm imperfect. I promise.
So yeah, we'll keep going on that. We'll set that up.
And so Ken, you're probably going to want to talk with Jen Johnson in our office to set that up and make sure you have that room available for you.
Yep. And also talk with Kelly.
Yep. CC her on everything.
Yep.
And you guys are very lucky to have Kelly. She is fantastic. She's got a lot of experience and she's even better than me. So she's organized and thoughtful.
Oh, listen to her.
So
yeah.
No, honestly, I'm excited to work with you guys. Danielle speaks so highly of your group, and it's why you succeeded as far as you have. It's not just about skill set though. With Danielle leaving, we had another person in our office leave. It's a little bit about just lack of time. So eventually, I'll be able to fill her shoes a little bit better. But till we get some more people in the office, it will be kind of stretched.
And send us good people.
Yes. Good people who want to do good things. Got a spot open for them.
Working on it. Anything else? All right. I'll see you in the morning.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Yep.
Thank you. We'll see you too, Kelly.
Yeah.
Good